How's it going, anime enthusiasts and casuals alike? Welcome to Anime Book Club, where we watch the old, new, and classic to have a thoughtful discussion about the medium we love. Uh, it's the end of Log Horizon Season 3. I am your host, as always, Cesar, and I'm always here with my good buddy, anime friend, Attack on Titan lover, Disillusion. How you doing, JD? How you doing?
Feeling solid in my love for Attack on Titan, and not so solid in my opinion on Walk Horizon after this season.
Yeah, as you are an avid lover of Attack on Titan and how much you defended to your very detriment, it'll be the same for me on a Log Horizon. However, I know when to throw my biases aside. Season 3 is the weakest out of all three seasons, and it's very light on content. Like, even when I was going through, like, reading through my notes beforehand so I can get a grasp on everything that I watched beforehand, I had to thought to myself, like, man, nothing really happened. Like, I'm gonna be really honest with you. No action was actually there until episode, I believe, 6 with Krusty's side arc. 6 was when we actually get like some kind of like combat action. Like some meaty stuff. And then it like tapers off for a few episodes, and then we get back for a final few more action scenes with another raid. But really, the characters, they're just talking.
Yeah, this one felt a little bit like how we said for the back half of season two, where it was a grab bag of sort of different ideas coming together and then sort of escalated into one final raid at the end for like an action ending. And for me, I feel like a lot of that slow flow and importance on like political focus and like overarching plot sort of like hedged off in this season, like definitively, or at least it didn't come up to any massive consequence like you would expect from Walk Horizon for like the earlier seasons.
Yeah, and to that, we also need to throw into the fact that the light novel that also got formed into a web novel that these seasons were like based off of, they kind of stopped after a while. And then they got picked back up, and then finally they are on hiatus indefinitely until whenever or whatever. And season 3, if you want to look at it through the lens, I believe it was rushed, or if even there wasn't enough content to make like a good 25 episode season like the previous two had. Once you got past episode 5, you're like, dang, we're almost halfway through and nothing really happened. You really couldn't say that about the other two seasons.
No, definitely. And I think I don't know if you've seen this, but there's a Gintama episode where they're explaining how syncing up your anime with like your source material is, and they describe all the techniques where you find like a stop at your source material, so you dot around and you come up with a side story for the anime until like the original can get back on pace, or you just completely avoid making the anime entirely, and that's out the window, right? And just based on like season one, season two, I can see why they would rush through to make another season. It's just a little disappointing.
Yeah, man. So it's gonna be rough for me to talk about season 3 because, well, actually, it'll be rough for both of us to talk about season 3 because there's honestly not that much to talk about. Because if I give, I'm gonna give you guys a lowdown. All right, we have only literally 3 parts to season 3, and each of them are very short. The first part goes from episodes 1 through 5. The second part is 6 and 7. And the third is 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. And I'm not going to lie to you, the third part is literally, objectively, only like 2 episodes, 3 at best. And the first one is also possibly. I say it takes the full five. It's just when you enter a new season, you gotta have the first episode is always the setup, or actually the first two may always be the setup and get you in there. So the first part probably is four, if not five episodes, but everything is very small, and that gives you that rushed feeling of we do this part, you see it for a few episodes, and then you move on to the next one. Couple episodes, move on to the next one, done. Ah, yeah. So what these parts entail is the first part is remember back in season two. It was only done in like very short scenes while the new party were going west to get to hunt the wyverns to get their materials for their bags. Is that Ainz, the guild leader for honesty, has been bringing up the issues of everyone, not everyone, but most of the population in Akihabara being poor or being unable to do things in the world because they're poor or they don't have the skills to do things. And he's been taking in these adventurers into his guild, and he's been trying to make everyone feel uh what's the word I'm looking for? Included, that they don't seem useless or they have something to do rather than just sitting around and doing nothing. So that causes a problem of guilds feeling bloated to some degree, and the stretch and thinning of resources being sent to these people who can't get it for themselves is causing a wealth divide amongst other people, as you kind of do in an economic situation. So the roundtable has always had these debates on what they should do or what they shouldn't do, and Ainz has is like bubbling has been like bubbling about it for a bit, and it didn't really come amount too much to anything in season two, but in season three, in the first part, this is where it reached the boiling point, where once again it's being brought up again. Honesty has been also been checking out the fairy rings that allows the adventurers to teleport around the places. And what it comes down to is that he's actually like talking big as if he's got something planned. And quite honestly, he did have something planned. In the background, he got sponsored by the people of the land, specifically the Saigu family, and very much specifically the head of the Saigu family named Sir Tori. Sir Tori appoints Ainz as a duke, which causes a huge political situation within Akihabara. In that, the people of the land actually recognize the duke status more than anything else, and he actually like Ainz more as like a leadership role, and also gives the people of the land a person to look up to and like have a sense of protection and serenity while they live in Akihabara. Because quite honestly, the people of the land, they make up 80% of the economics in Akihabara. And dealing with the people of the land, just it's a difficult situation to, wrap one's head around if you dealing with politics and economics at the same time. So when that happens, Ainz has everything in place because 5 of the 12 seats of the round table are gone. Krusty is gone because he's kind of like the fallback if Shiro isn't doing anything. Not much is being done between all the guilds to help out the citizens, be it the people of land or the adventurers. The other guilds have been doing their own thing, like the Black Sword Knights, they exist, but they've actually moved their headquarters outside of Akihabara, and they're in Mihami. Shopping Street 8 has been making dealings with Minami to put up a trading hub there, so they can trade goods between both cities. Ainz didn't like that, but the Shopping Street 8 guy, he pushed back on it, being like, hey, we're not getting paid for doing any of this. We're just, trying to open up more trade routes. And the other guild leaders kind of like dismissed Ainz. And it got to the point where Ainz like said like, you know, we're a little broken right now. And because I'm a duke and I've got the backing of the people of the land with me, I don't need to be a part of the round table anymore. Because quite frankly, in order for us to do anything, we all need to agree. If we all can't agree, we don't do anything. So, I'm out. And just like that, the round table is just gone. What did you think about that?
Honestly, I'm glad Ainz actually finally did something. Balls on the table, making his own political moves. Nobody was expecting that, and neither was I. I thought this guy was just gonna like blow hot air for the whole season. So he gets a lot of respect from me for that. It was incredible. It was a great move. I loved it.
Yeah, I think still, even though it's season 3 and it's kind of weak, there is still the blueprint of Log Horizon, showing that each and every character that is shown ever since the first season, and who showed up in the second season, that had a little bit of light. Ainz never had his time yet. Like, he was the only guild member that we saw that didn't do anything substantial or contributed really anything to like being like a proper flesh out developed character. Season 3, in the first part, this was his time. This is actually all about him and what he's done. And at first, I thought it was forced, really forced. But when time goes by and when Shiro meets Tori, the actual head of the Saigu family, and we get a whole backstory on why Westerland is as fragmented as it is, and the Senate mostly controls everything, and the Saigu family is pretty much powerless. I thought to myself, dang, okay, he actually trusts Ainz more, because Ainz has been in the background and talked about trying to help people like live their lives in a more stressful world that they can't really leave. And Ainz has been like the benevolent person, even though he just sounded like a whiny baby in the meetings. Outside of that, he's been actually like a good person. And Tori liked that, and Tori wanted to sponsor and support him. Also, this is Tori's way of trying to gain some amount of power and independence from the Senate, so that he can do things and save his people in Westerland from Intix and Nerea. At the same time as well, in order to solidify that, he has asked Linesia's hand, also known as Raynesia, hand in marriage, to make a neutral ground between Akihabara and Botrix, so that he has some amount of ground and some amount of pull and some amount of time to say, hey, hey, Senate, I got power over here. It's time for you to actually respect me. Too many political moves happening in the first part, but I understand why.
And like when you think about it real deep, this is like probably not the most complete play ever, but it's the most well thought out, I think, between like anything else. And I think it hits all that much harder because you only ever get hints of Ain's discontent leading up to this. So when it actually does come to light, how all these things are connecting, it really hits you hard, right?
Yeah.
The other thing I think is understated is just the system of the round table didn't really include people of the land before. Raynesia is there, but she's not really governing part of that solution, right? And the reason why they have so much power now with this arrangement that Ainz and Tori made is because they actually do include people of the land, and the people of the land really wanted to get behind one of their own being in charge in some way. You know how it goes. What's the word? No representation, taxation, my bad, without representation, right? Because players, they could technically do whatever they want, but people will land, they have to sort of grind it out.
Yeah, it's simple. I don't say simple politics, but it's the resonating thing. Like, if I see somebody in a high enough power that is like me as far as my race or my culture or things that I like, then I will support them more, and I'll actually understand like the situation that I'm in, and I'll actually feel protected and feel that nothing bad is going to happen as long as somebody who is like me but in a higher position will think of the best for me. Speaking on that though, it's funny how when Shiro, Ainz, and Tori had that meeting, Ray Nessia had to step up herself. And this is also finally her, it's like second or third time to actually, like grow as a character. Because she's always been lazy. She's not like her father. And she doesn't really want to do anything. She just want to coast around. And that she's always felt that disconnect between herself as the people of the land and the adventurers. And in the first season, she kind of had a crush on Krusty. And because he corrupted her in a way to show her the light, she was like, okay, this is fine. Then in the second season, when she felt bad for her adventure friends of themselves, like throwing themselves at this problem, and she was the only one who could actually help them, and they told her, hey, we want the magic in the city to go, the magic circle protecting the city to go down so we can take on this raid boss. She built up the courage and the understanding to do that. Now we have her in this situation where she needs to step up for her people as well. Not only the adventurers, but also as a representative of the people of the land. When she gets that resolve and she crashes the meeting, Shiro has the epiphany of, oh, I have something I can use. So now he decides, all right, Ainz, you can have your Akihabara government to help out the people of the land and everyone, but we're going to do it old fashioned style. We're going to have a vote. It's either the Akiba government or the round table. Election in anime. Never thought I'd see it.
Never in 100 years, bro. I was geeking once I saw it.
But unfortunately, on Shiro's side, we have a little bit of a problem. They don't have the popular vote from the people of the land. Even though they got Ray Nessia on their side, they're still kind of down because they're not in royalty. Ainz is because he's a duke, the second highest tier of like royalty. So they're down. They're also down because the people of the land actually want the marriage to go through between Tori and Renese, because that's like two powerful royalties like put together in a family, so they have like double, triple the protection. At the same time, Renesia's mother, let me find her name. It's Saara. Wait, hold on. How do I say this again?
Soralia?
Sarali. Hey, there we go. Mother Sar. Oh, yeah, I like her. Mother Sar. We'll call her Mother Sar for now. So Mother Sar comes in, and Mother Sar is the complete opposite of Rhaenyra. She is prim, she is proper, she is deadly in politics. She is known as the Pearl of Eastil. Rhaenyra has to get through her mother, and I like Mother Sar because Mother Sar doesn't really tell Rhaenyra to like get married. She just tells her, do what you think is right. And when Rhaenyra meets her mother and father, to renounce the marriage. Nice, powerful scene for her to like break out of her shell, while also Mother Sar showing off her eloquence and political skills in a situation. Her skills with the fan, top notch. I could glaze Mother Sar all day long. You can probably tell who my favorite character is out of season 3, but Mother Sar is diabolical. But
No,
Renaissance,
she is a whole queen. Like she should be running at least 3 different countries by herself, and the only reason she can't is because that's not a woman's job. Feels bad, man. That's what every NPC says. And when Isaac got told that by like Rainesia's little brother, he was like, "What? That's kind of crazy, but okay." Like same reaction here, man. I want her as my queen all day, all long.
so unfortunate. She's just on the side. But that's what just kind of makes her even more diabolical, is that she can see everything and she can just always just advise the king on what to do, and then like, hey, there we go. But Renetia is able to get through to her mother, and the election day sort of happens, and then both sides have to give their speech. Now, the speeches, they're good. I won't say like they're powerful, because we're not people of the land. We haven't been in that situation, but we've seen through everything. Ainz, he gave his speech. It's good. Clapping. Good clap. Good for him. It's unfortunate that he went up against Shiro, who had plans. Who had plans? Like I was telling JD this. It's like when you go up against Shiro, make sure you define the rules, because if you let Shiro define the rules, he will break them. Well, not really break them. He'll do something so outlandish that you thought he broke his own rules, but he didn't. So what Shiro does, that he managed to find a way to get the transport gate active, and then he got everybody from Suzukino, the Winter City, to come in and join the election, because the rules state that whoever is in Akihabara at the time of election day is allowed to vote. So he literally just called in voters from across the land to join the election. It's not
Bro, it
cheating.
was so
That's
fucked
the
up.
rules.
I knew when I saw that line for the first time that it was gonna be something like that, but I thought it was gonna be like, oh, okay, we'll get like a bunch of. I think I wanted Nereha to somehow be involved, and she would send a bunch of people from Westland over. But no, he has like a bunch of adventurers come in, and even worse, man, he has 2 extremely notable NPCs come out and give their celebrity endorsement for Rainicia too. Like, Ainz was never winning this, bro. It was so sad.
No, whenever Shiro is involved, you are never going to win. They made their speech along with Shiro stepping in, and there is going to be a new roundtable called the New Roundtable Conference, where we have the chairperson that is also representing the DDD in lieu of Krusty is Renesia, who is also going to be representing the people of the land. It's like you said before, JD, the roundtable didn't have any representation with the people of the land. Now we do have it. It's Renesia. The other guilds that were still part of the roundtable at the time, Log Horizon, Crescent Wind Alliance, Radio Market, West Wind Brigade, and the Silver Sword, they remain at the table. The Marine Agency and Roderick's Merchant Guild, they'll handle all the crafting. Shopping Street 8 is going to be renamed to Commerce Network 8, and that'll handle all the logistics and trade networks for Easto. The Black Sword Knights will move to their headquarters in Miami, but they'll still remain part of the round table. Reagan, who's been following us around, Sage of the Mirror Lake, he'll be invited to be the technical advisor, who also represents the people of the land, because when he popped out, everybody was like, oh my god, is that the Sage of the Lake? He exists? Oh, shot up the ratings even more. And then he even brought in Kinjo, who represents the Kuni clan, to help maintain defense of the city. as well as be partly responsible for the activation of the transport gate, everybody's like, oh, wow, we got people. Let's go.
Bro, he got the pop star welcome when he pulled out the Grenier clan, bro.
And you want to know what happens next? That kind of really irks me. Ainz drops out.
Total horseshit, bro. Oh my god. All that work just for him to give up instantly. I was so mad. I had to pause the episode and just not watch the rest for the rest of the day.
So even though it irks me, the explanation does make sense. Once the transport gate has been activated, it puts Tory in a rough position. Because if Tory and Ainz wins, then they have to deal with the transport gate and the implications that has with the whole Westerland, because they have the transport gates. So there's an issue with that. There's also a slew of other things, but everything that Shiro did just pales in the comparison of what a Duke and Tory has to offer. And so they just drop out of it because they see themselves in a losing battle, which they also don't get the marriage as well as part of this offer. So really, there's not much they could do after seeing the performance that Shiro and the others did. So with nothing else for them to do, Ainz and Tory, they leave the city. And, they're off to the Lake of Neo to do something. And it's touching that Shiro felt bad for what he did. And he wanted to, talk to Ainz, but he felt like if he talked to Ainz, it would be like, yeah, man, I won. What you gonna do? Man, look at you like this. Hey, I know I won and everything, but, here's what you can do to be better. It's like, no, Shiro didn't really have a good reason to talk to him. So Isaac went, and Isaac was a really good middleman or talker, if anything, because even though Isaac didn't do much throughout the entirety of Log Horizon, he was an observer. So he's the kind of chill guy to deflate a whole bunch of things. And he actually delivered Ainz a care package that Shiro made for Ainz. And it was touching. And also at the end, Toray said, yo, Ainz, I consider you as a sworn friend, even though we lost.
God. I have a lot to say about Isaac just as a character. He is the most down to earth sort of he's just a dude, man. He just gets it. And I don't know how this meathead has insight 1000 on everybody, but he just does. And he only ever shows up when he needs to say something really heartwarming. It's kind of crazy, to be honest.
Yeah, he also called out the dude in Shopping Street 8 for doing what he was doing. And the dude was like, what are you talking about? What about you? Isaac's like, man, I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah, he's just I'm doing what I want. That's what it is.
So now that we won the election, what's next? Well, let's cut a side story, right? We gotta know what's Krusty been up to. And we get the lowdown on Krusty, and I gotta say, it was so... I don't think they needed to do this. I think this is the anime only thing. But they told the story of Krusty through a puppet show. A little bit was done through the puppet show. But it's mostly been animated and whatnot. And Krusty's whole side story is... what I want to say.
Say it bluntly.
Did we really spend 2 episodes on this?
No, we really did not. Okay, I'm cool with everything. He's cursed. He can't go back to his normal server. He gets picked up by Konami. I'm entirely fine with that. But I feel like it was so drawn out, right? I think the whole puppet show thing with everybody in Log Horizon reacting to it and being oh my gosh, what happened next? And then them being oh, okay, yeah, that's cool. We're going to take a break right here and then end the episode. I really wish they would have just pushed it through in one and just showed what happened and then maybe be hey, Shiro, here's a report of what happened, and have it be like Shiro reading the report.
You want to know what's the unfortunate thing is that Konami's whole arc in season 2 was done in like one episode, I believe, if I remember correctly. Yeah, it was done in one episode. How Krusty's gonna be done in one episode is beyond me. But I believe they kind of needed to do it in two because not only did they want to talk about Krusty, they also need to talk about Konami and how they got with Krusty. And also at the same time, you know, maybe they thought Krusty was also like a get like one of the best characters, so they needed another episode to like talk more about him. There's also the fact that through this whole story, that Krusty had a message for Shiro within the story. It was never blatantly told, but through the story, Shiro was supposed to piece together something. There's really not much to talk about Krusty's story, to be honest. Like you pretty much summed it up perfectly. Like he was sent to the server, he was cursed, he met up with Konami, he managed to get the curse away by defeating the person who gave him the curse. Elias Hackblade, level 1 NPC, was also being mind controlled, but that wasn't much for Krusty. You get to see Krusty like do some cool things, like using up his memories to power himself up. That's
No,
about
that
it.
was cool. Like, there's a lot of cool implications here, like mechanically, where it's like Krusty was going through the curse contract or whatever, and he started writing his own clauses in there because it was like loose enough, and that's how he gets like lifesteal. He had this curse where he couldn't heal, so he's like, okay, I'm gonna add a line that says I can lifesteal off of geniuses, right? And then there's another thing about just the geniuses being involved in his disappearance at all, right? It has some intrigue about them, like showing up and just like getting rid of interesting people or powerful people like Krusty. But like, I don't know. There's also like a good chunk of that 2 episode span was centered around the prince, the package character from the actual game, Log Horizon, right? And his inability to do damage below 25% max HP on anything, right? And
Yeah,
it's
that
like, I like the idea of it, but he's an NPC.
yeah,
You know?
it didn't amount to much of anything. Yeah, that allowed Krusty like to live during the duel, but that really doesn't mean much. And the whole entire point of it was to send a message that Krusty's going to the moon to fight the geniuses because that's pretty much all he can do. And the main message he was sending to Shiro was that the geniuses are able to use the Elder Tales like system in some way, meaning that they have the ability to change the rules of the world. So that's the message, which also teases the next part, which is it mentioned that Elias Hackblade was like a level 100 NPC that was part of the game. Or there's also another pair of NPCs called the Ancients, who are also NPCs. Which, if you really think about it in a MMO sense, they are the flagship quest givers slash NPCs part of the main story for that part slash expansion. We see these two characters, the Mofer sisters, Lelia and Litka. I believe that's how you say it. I don't know. I'll probably will. But both of them, they're sisters. One of them's the airhead. The other one is not so much of an airhead, the bigger sister. But they look like twins. They get found by the new party because they've been trained. The new party's been training. They're trying to get better, get levels. They've been using the teacher system to where the higher levels can be with them, but they lower the levels to the levels to make it fair. The Mumford sisters, they're the oldest ancients. They're the ones that founded the Izumo Knights. Hey, they're mentioned again. Essentially, now what I think the Izumo Knights are like the other NPCs that are supposed to be these flagship slash mainstays of like future expansions and whatnot. Because at first the whole game was like level 50, and you see the Moonford sisters first, and now the game's level 90. So the other Izumel Knights must be, part of the expansions and whatnot. So, after when you do like when you play an MMO and once you get past like a certain point in the main story, those certain NPCs kind of become, well, moot point. Like you don't need to interact with them anymore. They don't matter. So that's why the Moonford sisters have been like gone for so long. Like once the expansion came out, they've been like not so much useless, but more like shadows in the background. You don't need to interact with them anymore. So now that they come back, and the new party treated them like pets for some reason. Like they wanted them to like come with them, but they were afraid that Shiro were going to reject them for some reason because they were like more mouths to feed. But they bring them back to Log Horizon. Shiro and the other high levels, they realize, who they are. And I want to say, good on Tetra for standing on business, for not wanting to deal with them. Because we get we get a whole thing to where there was a quest for the Mumford sisters to get some kind of like special thing, that the quest that they had to do was that in order to get this special item, they first needed to collect 1,000 scales and turn them in. Well, something happened to the point to where the scales needed was bumped up to 3,000. So in total, Tetra had to collect 4,000 scales in total. However, I don't know how this is like some like special thing for the Elder Tales system or whatever, but the Moonford sisters, when they get their scales, through some Looney Tunes act, they lose the scales, and now Tetra had to collect another 3,000. They lose the scales again, and Tetra had to collect another 3,000. It happens again, and another 3,000. So Tetra had to collect 13,000 scales in total in order for her to even complete the quest. If that happened to me, I'm sending in a report or something. I don't know.
Straight ticket to the dev. This quest is bug. Please give me my compensation right now.
Everybody boycott the game.
This is like, do you know in Pokemon Diamond Pearl, there's this chick. She'll give you a Haunter and you trade with her, but she makes it hold an Everstone, so you're never getting a Gengar.
Oh yeah.
It'd be that level of hatred. There's like whole Reddit threads that are just like, "A fuck her," right?
It was hilarious. And if you play Pokemon for the first time or whatever, and you just never think about the Everstone, you're like, oh yeah, cool, Everstone, it increases my defenses. And then when you hear about in order to get the Gengar, you need to trade your Haunter. But when you trade your Haunter to somebody else and it doesn't evolve on the other side, you're like, what? What's going on? And then you hear them say, oh yeah, they have the Everstone. If they're holding Everstone, they don't evolve. And then you're like,
So you hate me, is what you're saying.
well, that was a cute, fun little moment. And we also see during the whole month for sisters that there is something big that's supposed to be coming to Akihabara, but we really don't see it, and nobody really, nobody knows. After that, Minori and Shiro go shopping, and we get a lowdown on what you need to do to prepare for raids.
When you first saw that this was going to be a thread happening, did you get like an immediate sense of dread? Like, were you looking at the number of episodes left and you're thinking, can't wait to see what they do, like rating next season or something like that? Or did you just know it was coming?
So here's the thing. I didn't think about that. What I was thinking of is that why are we setting up Minori on a ad hoc date with Shiro? Because beforehand, we had a very nice moment where Shiro and Akatsuki were just sitting down, eating their red buns after the whole political debate thing, and after everything's over with. And it was a cute little moment. It's like, oh yeah, we're chill. It's like, dang, Shiro and Akatsuki, they're an item. And then here comes Minori, and then I thought, oh right, her. We need to get this out of the way.
Oh my god, my poor girl. All
Nah, Minori stocks are going down at this point.
right, so, I did sort of want to talk about the whole raid preparation thing because, again, I think more than anything, I feel like everybody that worked on this anime and like with the light novel really understood how raiding works, right? Shiro was saying like, "Hey, have 10 of these potions. If you don't know how many you need, buy a lot," right? And Minori was just like in awe at how much material Shiro would bring. And I think it was said that Shiro used to buy 300 players worth of materials for each raid he does, right? And from the outside, if you're not a gamer, that might look insane, right? That's a stupid amount of grinding. I don't know if anybody else has had to like cook like raid food or like raid buffs as their class form, but that kind of stuff is so needed and so like excessive to have a really successful raid.
People don't understand that extra 5% or extra 3% really adds a lot to the speed of what you can do in a raid. Like that extra bit of damage matters because it's not only you doing that extra bit of damage, it's everybody in the raid that eats that potion or eats that food that gets the buff and that you're going forward. Also, you got to think about it. If it's your first time doing a raid, you're going to need probably a little bit more items than you thought because if you wipe a whole bunch of times, then you have items that allow you to like, hey, let's go next again and again and again and again. Because if you only have enough for like a couple of runs, then you got to go out of the instance, get everything. Everybody's got to take their time. It's like a break in the whole thing. And then when you get back to it, it probably might be a raid to where, oh, you got to do everything again and your progress isn't saved. It's again one of the blueprints that Log Horizon has. It's an MMO. They do explain things fairly well, and if you're a gamer and MMO player, you're like, oh, I feel seen, I feel watched. But you kind of get the feeling that yeah, it's foreshadowing that another raid is going to happen, and this raid in particular, I want to say is the most interesting one. But I really feel like we got slapped in the face when the new party is the actual heroes of the entire thing.
Yeah. Um,
So here, okay.
I kind of
So I
yeah. Go,
wanna.
go, go, go.
So I will. So I was really thinking hard about this as a part of why is the new party being thrown into the forefront again for the third time. It makes sense. So the whole raid, let's give a little bit of context. The whole raid is about a new genius that's coming in. It's called the Despair Genius. What the Despair Genius does is it puts the entire city of Akabara into a raid, into an instance, and it de-levels everyone to level 35. However, if they're above level 70, if they're 70 or above, they get reduced down to level 35. What you're probably thinking is, okay, so the raid boss is level 35. No, the raid boss is like level 60, 66, somewhere in that range. And that's where the whole raid is. So everybody who's D-leveled, they're fighting at a disadvantage. They're slower, they're not hitting as hard, they're taking a lot more damage because, there's a level difference. So a lot of their skills need to be, used at the right times. And it's an actual like hard raid. As you're fighting, you're fighting up, you're punching up. It's gonna take a lot longer to do things. The only caveat is that if you weren't at that level range, then you're kind of okay. So if you're like 69 or below, you were good. You want to know? You want to know who were the only ones that didn't fit that range? The noob party and one other person, Akatsuki, because that very same day, it was Akatsuki's turn to like train the noob party, and Akatsuki, bless her heart, for being on the up and up, that she wanted to make sure that the teacher system was working correctly. So that night, she activated the teacher system to brought her level down to the new party's level. So she was fine when the raid happened. So that's like a nice little happy accident. But the problem with the raid is that we have the higher levels there. The higher levels not only have the experience, but they've also got the tactics and the skills. And you have Shiro, the one guy that has a strategy for literally everything if you give him enough information. And quite literally, they got the information. And they were doing just fine by themselves. You know, they linked up with the other DDD members and they were fighting. They were fighting. Sure, they had to take down like enemies like one at a time or whatnot, but they were doing okay. I was thinking, okay, Shiro and the others are gonna get together, the higher levels. We're gonna figure out a nice little way to get through. But Shiro had the idea. It's like, hey, Monfo sisters, take this notebook of all the information and take it to Log Horizon. Let the new party will know how to deal with it. Minori will know what to do with the information. And then I did not like it when I believe it was Sojiro said, Shiro, so you're telling us to die. I was like, no, no, y'all can't go. Because if you die in the raid, you get kicked out of the instance and you can't retry until next time. So the entire adventurer population were being thrown into this endless loop to where they had to finish the raid. Otherwise, they couldn't really do anything else with their daily lives. The people of the land, they were safe. They weren't thrown in because, they're not adventurers. Hey listeners, this is Editing Zezarin here. I wanted to interject just for a moment because I did not explain the stakes of the raid that properly well, and I left out like a key detail. So when the Despair Genius does appear and de-levels everyone that's level 70 or above, it's actually using the teacher system against the players, the adventurers. What the whole teacher system set up beforehand with Natsuko and Akatsuki, it was leading up to this very moment, giving you like the key details. Because during the raid, whenever they heard the ping, the ding sound of the teacher system going off, that's when the higher levels kind of noticed something was amiss. They started to feel weaker. Then they all theorized like, towards the end of it all, like, the teacher system that the Despair Genius is forcing upon us is actually de-leveling us. And once you actually die within the raid and you're kicked out, you're actually stayed at level 35. You can't increase your level, you can't gain experience, you can't really do anything. So it is pretty much a horrible loop to be in. So it puts a lot of stress and puts all their eggs in one basket on the new party for them to actually complete the raid and save everyone. Otherwise, everyone's going to be stuck at level 35. And once they, wake up the next morning and be able to enter the raid again, they'll be thrown into the raid again and forced to do it all over again until somebody completes it. That's the context I wanted to give. Sorry about that. We'll get back into it. So we had to rely on the new party. But this is a raid. We need 24 people. So the new party goes to the Crescent Moon Alliance and we throw together a pub group of the Crescent Moon Alliance and Log Horizon, the Monfa sisters, and Akatsuki. And I'm gonna self-report right now. During the whole raid sequence, I won't lie, I did get a little excited and smile. That's probably the little gamer in me, like seeing a raid happen and seeing them succeed. But I'm gonna be honest, I did not want to see the new party go through another raid and them being the limelight again. The foreshadowing was there. It was their time to do another raid. In season 1, they had the whole dungeon training arc. Cool. They were doing great. Awesome. In season 2, they had to go through a quest in order to learn about the world, learn about themselves, know what they wanted to do with the future in their life. That's cool. Come up, it's growing up. And now, season three, it's a raid. It's time for the new party to stand up and like actually do a raid for the first time ever. And that's it? Yeah. It was just for the new party to do their first raid ever. There's no substance behind that. It's just to like, have a final raid at the end of the season to give the new party like some screen time. Am I wrong? Am I going crazy?
I think
I'm crashing out right now.
you're being a little bit too hard on my noobs, man. Yes, our noobs, bro. So you're definitely right in that I personally don't really enjoy like ending the season off on like another raid battle every single time. I feel like the build up to them doing it was foreshadowed pretty well in that we knew they were going to do a raid. We just didn't expect it to be so soon. But I think the mechanic itself of de-leveling all the players that were above a certain point is just like a genius raid mechanic that nobody would have ever thought of. We never got to see like if like the elder players would like gain more levels as they go through and progress or anything like that. I wish that would have been shown a little bit more. But I do think that the new party having their first raid like this was perfect for the season, I would say. Because they've been like growing so slowly, right? And they haven't had a real chance to like put themselves out there and prove themselves like as players. Even Akatsuki, who is technically the highest level there, she hasn't done a raid yet. And I thought, okay, this will be their chance to shine. And I think it's less about getting the new party out there and doing things, and more about like the theme between Minori, Akatsuki, Shiro, and their feelings for Shiro specifically, right? This is to put like those three characters on a higher pedestal than like anything else, right? So it's like self-serving, but it's like self-serving for the unnecessary loading.
Okay. I'm gonna give you some of that. And I'm gonna counter two things that you just said. Akatsuki's first raid, Akihabara raid. That's simple, done in point there. She had her first raid. That's done. Second point is a little bit longer. Yes, the max levels were reduced down. There was no way for them to gain levels because it's the teacher system. This is like one of the other. This is like some also basic system that some MMOs did in the past, to where you can de-level yourself. You won't gain experience, but you like have reduced stats and your skills won't do as much damage, but you're still able to play with the lower levels. And you may get some like bonus XP towards, your level or something else. Some kind of progression towards that. That's all fine and dandy. The counter to the higher levels being nerfed is that at the end of season 2, even though the raid was short, the new party was part of the raid. They were, in fact, like 30 to 40 levels lower than all the other raid monsters and the raid boss. And they still lived. Even though there wasn't many of them, they were still part of the raid. I thought they were going to get one-shotted, but no, they were cool. Now we come to here. They're level 35 against level 60s. That's 30 less. But we have experience. We have Shiro. We have Shiro, of all people, who went through a raid. How come the others just couldn't punch up? We saw them punch up, and they just gave up. Why didn't they try harder? Like that's what's getting me. Is that we've built up these specific characters who've already been through raids, who've been part of the debauchery tea party, like Shiro, Natsuko, Nyanta specifically, like our heroes, they quote unquote gave up in a sense. Like the members of DDD, they, just not give up in the sense of like, yeah, it's over, let's give up. No, it's just that they just passed the torch to the new party where they just could have been part of it as well. And then we got the new party at the head of it while the others just do. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop.
No, no, you have to resume, my brother. Okay, so we know a good chunk of the season was devoted towards Minori trying to learn more and become more like Shiro, while also building up her confidence to ultimately like confess at the end of the season. We'll get to that part later. We got words about that. But during the other raid, the final raid of season two, that's pretty much only a Shiro feat, right? I think this raid was specifically for Minori and especially Akatsuki to stand out near the end because at this point, Minori, she's not quite Shiro, but she is Shiro 2.0. No, I guess Shiro point 0.5, right? Like half Shiro. This is giving them their chance to go out by themselves and work as like a cohesive unit to beat a boss by themselves, right? Because before you would just say, oh, Shiro did his Shiro thing and he made everybody better, right? But now it's Minori and the new party overcome their own like instincts about raiding and complete a raid by themselves while also discarding all their memories of like the people they look up to the most, right? Like Akatsuki and Minori had Shiro, and the idea of Shiro, the despair boss kept taking the memories of that. Uh, oh no, Toya, he had Naotsuku, right? And he was forgetting his words throughout the boss fight with like stress and stuff like that. And everybody was going through that sort of mental block, right? Only for Akatsuki to pop out and be like, okay, but I don't really like Shiro like that. He's kind of lame sometimes, but he's my homie. I don't worship him. He's just kind of cool. And that's why I love him, right?
Bro,
And these are things they could never say that with Shiro in the room, right? The
no,
absence of Shiro in that moment is so important.
yeah, but here's the thing, right? Okay, Toya rallying everyone before they actually like got together. Toya rallying everyone when they didn't have doubts about when they had doubts about themselves and when the max levels weren't there. Toya was like, "Yeah, we can do it. We could probably do this. Yeah, let's give it a try." And rallying everyone because Minori didn't have that extrovert like outward experience as a raid leader in order to like rally everyone. So she had to have Toya there. And then once everybody rallied, she was okay. You know, she did everything by the book. She remembered everything that Shiro taught her, and she was just doing her own thing. She was flowing, like even up to the raid boss. Like they were flowing, they were chilling, up until the point the despair genius hit them with he will hit them with the feelings, hit them with the feels bad. You know, they brought up their of the they brought up the memories of the people that they revered the most, and the despair genius just snapped his fingers, and it just kind of made them feel, despair. They made them feel depression, and just debuffed them on like a physical and emotional level. That was cool. I dig that. And I hate to say this, but if Akatsuki wasn't there, if she wasn't there, they weren't clearing that ever.
That's true. No, it's definitely true. But like those two, Minori and Akatsuki, I don't want to call them perfect foils. They're definitely foils in retrospect to Shiro, or not retrospect, with respect to Shiro. And I feel like her mentality is what makes or breaks that whole arc, right? I think that's what makes the raid what it is, right? That's sort of how I justify it. I think of it less as like an overarching story point and just like a final note for those two characters leading into the end of the season, right? Like Shiro, it's implied that he's settled on Akatsuki, unless at the end of season three he actually just is talking about Konami that he has a crush on that he loves. But I think it's just the perfect note to like end it. Give Minori her W and then hand her the biggest L at the end of season three by having him get rejected by Shiro. You know?
Bro, that L was so amazing for me. It brought me back out, man. I was like, let's go. Like, I literally have in my notes in all caps Minori confesses her feelings. Then the next line, Shiro rejects Minori. And then I put what I showed you. Let's go. Akatsuki stat stocks going up, baby. And Minori stats, sell them. Sell them. He's gone.
Oh my. The hate for this woman is absurd. I guess I should say girl. She's still pretty underage.
It's not hate, man. It's deserved. Akatsuki was there since day one. Minori just came out of nowhere. It's all good.
just
But
the difference between those two moments. By God, my heart.
yeah, we saw Akatsuki first, and we saw Shiro just settle with her, and I was like, oh yeah, he picked her. And then Minori comes along, and like, it's gonna sting. But you know what? Shiro was a man. I know that perfectly. He just explained what he was thinking. He gave his reason of why he's not in love with her or he can't, like, reciprocate. He confessed he loves someone else. And, she tried to play it off, but I knew I was like, it hurts, don't it? I mean, I don't hate Nori. It's just, just back off. Back off Akatsuki, all right? Just let Akatsuki have her life.
No, I get it.
But here's the thing, right? Rundle House Code. The man who told Izu to, don't push Minori on with this whole love thing. Let her do it by herself. How did Rundle House become such an annoying character in season one and become the most human out of all the NPCs ever?
Bro was not a person, and he just like evolved so quickly. I think in terms of like maturity on like all the main characters, I think he rates really, really high. Like him and Isaac are like sleeper picks for being like very insightful, like understanding of things.
Yeah, the new party needed like a moral compass, like someone to go to if things were bad. And he is that guy. Like, he is the most relatable person because, he didn't have much going on. He wanted to dream of being an adventurer. He became an adventurer. He was the first one ever to like have to like be revived as a people of the land. And afterwards, he became a beacon of knowledge. He helped out the other people of the land get through their days in Akihabara. And all of that experience just made him like, I don't know, just a big brother. A really better big brother than any other NPC ever. Shoot.
There's, I can't say enough good about Rumble House Code, man.
The end of the season 3 was just the end of the raid. Minori confessed her feelings, and we get a tease that Shiro wants to go to Minami to, talk about relations. And that's it. Log Horizon's finished because the light novel and the web novel are on indefinite hiatus. There's no tease for season 4. There's no talk about season 4. There's nothing. This is the unfortunate end of Log Horizon. It ended on a weak note, and I'm sad.
Yeah, definitely not what I was really hoping for. I do like the focus that they had on characters specifically, but I'm here for like wide overarching plots. That's what I think of when I think of Log Horizon, and it just didn't deliver on that front. But their raid design is pretty epic. They have plenty of cool stuff there. I gotta give them that.
And now I'm going to rant and crash out and ult because if this is the end, and we've had 4 years since then, if you're ever like watching this, or if anybody else is watching and hearing this, and you have ties to the author, or you want to say anything, there is so much content around Long Horizon that you can do that we have not seen yet. All right, if this is the end, let's go back to the beginning because oh my god, seasons 5 through 10 can be literally anything about what we've already established. Let's talk about the debauchery tea party. There are so many members of it that we've seen that haven't had their spot in the light. I'm talking about all the characters in the Western line, like KR and some of the others. Kanami, even though she had a small little scenes, we don't know much about Kanami. We know that she's a mother, she has a daughter, but what was she like in the beginning? What was anybody like in the beginning? I want to see Shiro as a kid log into Log Horizon. I want to see his whole reason of how he became what he was, a helper, but he was also misused by other people because he was so helpful. I want to see how he got with Kanami. I want to see how Natsuko got in. I want to see like the real life of what they do. I want to see the challenges of playing an MMO and balancing it with your real life, your work life with your game life. Like, what are the consequences of that? What are the pros and cons of it? What are the interactions? I want to know if they knew each other. It did. It sounded like they knew each other in real life. I want to see those interactions. I want to see their real bodies interact with each other. I want to see Akatsuki in the background, like doing things, because she wasn't part of the debauchery tea party. But I do want to see her avatar like ninja jumping everywhere because Akatsuki played a male character, even though she was female in real life. I want to see what that's like. I want to see Tetra get 13 scales from the Monfort sisters. I want to see that whole interaction. I want to see people crash out and like reminisce on the old days of MMO where you had to get thousands upon thousands of resources to only get one little thing in a limited amount of time. I want to see Intix being brought up as a perfect villain because oh my god, Intix knew Nerea in the past. Intix and Nerea are actually classmates in real life. I want to see Intix like slowly mold Nerea into like the puppet that she wants. I want to see Intix be the villain because she idolized the Konami. But at the same time, when Konami disbanded the Tea Party, Intix hated Konami for that because Intix wanted to be at the top. She reveled at the top. She wanted to tell and ask people, hey, how does it feel to be lesser than other people who aren't even part of a guild, who finish things before you? And even in the anime, she told KR and the others, hey, the rules have changed. The reason why I want to be ruler of all of Yamato is because I want to be at the top and tell people, hey, how does it feel like it to be lower than a young woman? How does it feel for everything that you have to be just marred by what I'm doing? She is just a hater and wants to be the ruler for the love of the game. That's my favorite villain out of all anime ever. I'm glad Log Horizon exists, but there's so much potential that can be done. Okay, so much.
My God. Oh,
I'm telling you, man, I love this so much. It's just we're not gonna see a whole bunch of things, man. We're just not gonna see it. We're not gonna see Krusty's little sister, who we adore so much. We're not gonna see like what Isaac's like in the real life. We're not gonna see like what the game was at level 50. Like we're not gonna get like a cool anime that is about an MMO for gamers and MMO players. Sure, like this is it right now, but like truly like dove into that aspect. The only one that I know of at the top of my head right now that actually has that is Shangri-La Frontier.
I think you only have so much time in life to commit towards any given thing. And I definitely understand if the author like stopped off here because they had like other responsibilities. And I appreciate everything they both wrote and contributed to create this anime and web novel experience. I think I definitely want to read the web novel and the light novel and see how that stacks up against the anime. Just by default, the source material is going to be more in depth. And I think it'll provide a lot of the answers that we want. But another part of me, just like I'm sure it is for you and all those other anime watchers out there, is that I would love to see these characters move very soon in the future and can't wait for that if it ever happens.
Yeah. Even though I went off on my rant, I still adore this and everything that has been written about it, animation wise and Arthur. Even though like we're like ripping into this hard, like we're ripping it into it hard and we're critiquing it hard because we enjoy it that much. Like even talking about like the first two seasons for a whole hour and then some. That lets you know that there is something to talk about. There's a lot of meat on the bones. There's a lot of themes. There's a lot of relatability. This is why I believe Log Horizon, even though not a whole lot of people know about it, it's a sleeper pick. It's a great anime to watch from a story perspective. Yes, there are extremely low points. Like, yes, to the average viewer, there are parts in season one. the entire political aspect that you're gonna get out of the anime and the slowness of it, it's gonna get to you. It's gonna weigh on you. But you have to be patient. Everything happens for a reason. Everything's gonna build off another thing. Things that you see in season one are gonna come back in season two. That are also gonna come back in season three. These things that you see in season two will come back in season three. Things will be referred back to in season one. It's a whole cohesive world. It's gonna be more about the world and all the characters. There's not a select few they're gonna focus on. They're gonna give everyone their time to shine. And that's one of the many things that I love about Log Horizon and why it's pretty much in my top five, most likely top three of anime of all time. What about you, Dady?
I think this one's definitely going to stick with me. I didn't really have a good concept of what Log Horizon would be until I dived straight into it. I think it just tells a very beautiful story about like gaming and how it relates to people's real lives in a way that I think most other animes in the same genre don't cover nearly as well, right? It's not my top five. I'm a sports anime dude, but this is a solid six, rank six out of all the anime I've ever watched. I loved it, and I'm glad I got to watch it with you guys.
I get you. I respect that. I mean, everyone has their own uh, taste in what they like and what they want to watch. So for you to say like it's your top six out of everything, I'm happy. I'll take that and run with it. I'll even be happy with if people watch like all three seasons and be like, I don't even like Log Horizon that much. I don't think it's that great. I mean, like, you know what? That's fine. I understand. I know how to put my biases aside, and I see the flaws in it. I get you. I see your points, but I'm also glad that you actually watched it and you actually gave it a try because in point, it has to be compared to Sword Art Online because they both came out relatively at the same time, and it was a battle between the two. And a lot of people chose, Sword Art Online for, you know, especially the art style, the characters, Kirito, Asuna, and some of the other things, and the story beats that they generally enjoyed more. And I understand the appeal, but I also would have wished that those of those who gave Walker Horizon a chance and probably fell off of it, pick it back up now that you're older, or if you're new, give Walker Horizon a chance and see what happens. If you can't get past, the 25 episodes or the slowness of it, I understand. It's not for everyone. But if you stick around for a bit longer and actually give it a real good chance, I think you're gonna enjoy yourself. But with that, that is, truly the end of looking over Lock Horizon. Any final thoughts, JD?
I think the only thing I can say is don't get raid wiped, people.
But I enjoyed myself. We enjoyed ourselves through this. Next one for us for this long standing series of going back and watching things will be something. We'll see. In the future, like I did put out a video not too long ago going through the first episode of My Status as an Assassin. One of the better isekais that I've ever seen, actually, with a really good plot. I've done a video on that. And there will be more videos that we've done, that I will do, that will be out before this episode actually gets out. So, check those out. Comment down below in descriptions of, things that you want to talk about Log Horizon, or suggest anime we should, take a very thoughtful critique and look at. It could be good, it could be, mid, or it could be terrible. Sometimes watching bad anime lets you appreciate good anime, I cannot say
Please
that
don't
with a straight
recommend no
face.
trash. If I see any trash recommendations, I'm going straight down there and I'm gonna post trash right underneath the comment.
We're gonna watch it too. Like Attack on Titan. Trash. Alright.
Hey.
But with that, y'all, I hope you all have a great morning, evening, noon, night, uh, whatever time that you're watching this. And I hope your day is just a little bit better from watching this. If it's already good, I hope it's even better. If it's not good, I hope it's better. But with that, we'll catch y'all in the next episode. Peace.
See ya.
Yo, editing Zezern back. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end. If you reached this point, thank you so much from like the bottom of my heart. If you are still listening or watching, if you want to help out, do the thing that all of us content creators, upcoming and still going, want you to do. Like, comment, subscribe, share it with your friends, keep talking about it, give us a little bit of exposure so the algorithm can put us out there for others to see. But other than that, that's all we really got for now. Until then, just keep a lookout for anything else Log Horizon related or anything else new that's coming on, as I am watching the new seasonal stuff and making some episode reviews on that, little mini ones. But with that, truly this is the end. Y'all take care. Later.